Hello guys, I just thought I'd do a very quick your shout regarding the impending arrival of Manuel Pellegrini. My take on it is that I think he's going to be a good fit for us. I really do. I know a lot of people, and I've seen a lot of sort of comments, social media, whatever, a lot of indifference where people wanting like a younger, more dynamic manager, wanting Rafa Benitez, and maybe not people's first choice. But I think in the here and the now, I think he is. I think he's a good fit for us. I really do. Now, yeah, I would have wanted Benitez. I probably would have wanted somebody young and dynamic. I'm not denying that at all. But as a manager of the way people play or the way he sets teams up, I think Pellegrini will be right up our street. I really do. You know, the clamour for Benitez, who is a good manager, don't get me wrong, he is a good manager, but he is quite negative, he's quite boring, and have we not had a lot of that over the last God knows how many years? Where I think you'll find with Pellegrini, he plays football the right way, this supposed like West Ham way. You know, he will set teams up to attack, and that's what we want. We want dynamic attacking football. We don't want the negative stuff, and I think he's the man to deliver it. I also think with the sort of the not so much turmoil, but that we've had a stream of managers. They've all been fairly negative, bar the one season that Slav had at the last season at Upton Park, which was like a one-off, and I think that last season was always going to be sort of special. And we did play some lovely stuff, and we did really well. But before that, you're kind of going back to the sort of team that probably, I don't know, Redknapp or somebody had with Di Canio, Paolo Wanshot, Trevor Sinclair, Joe Cole. That sort of team produced some really nice football. And before that, you're back to Devonshire and Brooking. You know, many moons ago. So you know, it's not something that we have or have had for sort of continuity over years and years. It comes in spells. We get little spells of nice football, and then it's gone again. But most of the time, you know, when I look back over the last God knows how many years, most of the time it's been absolute dross. You know, and I want to get excited about watching us play and play attacking football, and have the opposition sitting on the back foot. You know, that'd be good, and I think he can do it. If you look back at his track record, I mean, okay, again, Rafa, he's won the Champions League, so you can't take that away from him. But Pellegrini stacks up easily against that, and he's done it with lesser teams. He cut his teeth in South America. He went down when he was down there. He went on to manage River Plate, who are one of the biggest teams, certainly in Argentina, if not in South America. I mean, they are huge. Won a championship with them. Then went to Villarreal, and the only thing I'd say about people like Villarreal and Malaga, if you were to look at or speak to most people and say, name me 4 or 5 Spanish teams, they don't trip off the tongue. You know, you people will always come back, oh, Barcelona, Real Madrid, maybe Valencia, Seville, Atletico Madrid, to Villarreal or Malaga, really come into that. They don't. They are, and were, before his arrival, bang average mid to lower mid-table teams in Spain, in La Liga. Didn't rip up trees, just like we don't. Very similar. In fact, you know, probably smaller clubs than us, and that's without being disrespectful to them. But he took Villarreal in his first year into the Champions League. In the second year, it got to the semis, which is amazing. He also took Villarreal to second place in the Liga. He broke that 1-2 dominance of Barcelona and Real Madrid, which again, that's no mean feat in that, particularly in that league. Okay, he then went on to Real Madrid because he was doing great things. Again, Real Madrid don't pick monkeys to manage them. but he had issues there where it's a bit like David Sullivan, really. Their president basically bought all the players. He bought all the Galacticos, and it was just Pellegrini's job to manage them. Pellegrini didn't want that. He wanted to bring his own people in that fitted his system and his style, not have people bought in for him, which he had no say because they had a big price tag. It didn't work out. He left after a year, but got maximum points, but only finished second in the league. So that was kind of underwhelming, but I think we can forgive him that, because it's it would be like Sullivan just buying all the players and just expecting him to do what he can with them. Doesn't work, does it? As we know. He then obviously went on to Malaga. I'm sure that's how you say it, Malaga, and he got them again, a small team compared with us. And again, not being disrespectful, but he got them into the Champions League. And he took them to a quarterfinals of a Champions League. Well, again, if you're a shit coach, you don't do that. And he'd done it playing the right way. And interestingly, he had Salomon Rondon playing for him then. So that'd be quite interesting to know if he goes in for him again. Now he's back over here. But he's proof that he is a good player. He then obviously went on to Man City, won the league with them, won the League Cup with them, and then obviously he departed and went off to China. He's not in it for the long term. He's going to be. He stays at clubs 2, 3, 4 years, something like that. He's 64 now. You talk about older managers. Benitez is 58. So he's no spring chicken either. But I think with all the disruption that everything's gone on, if he can come in, he can bring some stability and get us playing nice football. I would certainly be happy with that. I really would. I just want to get away from the negativity, for think about defence first and then worry about if you can attack afterwards. It'd just be nice to go out and actually see teams set up and go for the throat, which would be great. I saw a really interesting interview that I think he was analysing a Man City Man U game where they stuck 4 goals past them or whatever. But he was talking about his philosophy and the way he sets up, and he does. He likes 4 at the back. His 2 centre midfield guys tend to hold, and he pushes his wide men on, and invariably he plays up front. He plays like an old style 4-4-2. He invariably has a big lump up front. Obviously he had Rondon there at Man City. I can't remember who he would have had there, Gio or something like that. Probably tell me, because he's a fountain of all knowledge. But it would have been somebody like Negredo or Dzeko up front. And he has a skillful ball player playing off of him. Q, Arnautovic and Lanzini. And I think if Lanzini stays and we don't use him as a cash cow and recruit on the back of a sale, he could turn him into a superb footballer, because it's there. It's just nobody's brought it out. So, as I say, I think with the disruption we've had and the negativity, I think he can be like a bridge for us until we can get that really good upcoming young manager. Because let's be honest, the likes of Thomas Tuchel or people like that, they're not going to come to West Ham. We're not attractive enough. Okay, we've got this big goldfish bowl that we play in, but we're not an attractive proposition. If Pellegrini can take us from mid-table or lower mid-table obscurity up to pushing for Europe or getting into Europe, bloody hell, how good would that be? And good cup runs or whatever, and gets us known as a decent footballing side, and develops that philosophy and develops those players, then if we can get that consistency and that continuity over a couple of seasons with him, and we become a more appreciative, or people will be more appreciative of what we're all about, we might be a more attractive proposition rather for a younger, more dynamic manager to come in, somebody who's cutting his teeth and making a name somewhere. Like the guy at Fonseca at Shakhtar Donetsk. He played this, he used this to get a bigger deal, but if we suddenly become a team that is like, well, actually I do want to manage them because they're pretty good, we're going to start attracting good managers. You know, and as I say, he's not in it for the long term. He won't be about forever. But in the here and the now, in the short term, I think he's the man for us. And I reckon we can see some really, really nice football next season. I am mildly optimistic, and I'm certainly not downbeat about his impending appointment. If he comes in and he does the business, I'll be a happy hammer. Come on, you Irons.